Shisha Sambhushitam Chincha Chincha Samastvera Nipunam Shri Rupa Pantanugam Govinda Viramuchvalam Bharatanam Bhaktyam Mitam Sundaram Vande Vishwa Guruncha Divya Bhagavad Premno Hibija Dasa Vrindavanam Vande Krishna Dasa Prabhum Tata Janavatar Chaitanya Lila Vishtar Karino Do Nityananda Padabja Karunarena Bhushito Yaktachano Burachincho Bhavande Vyasadupino Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva Govindascha Ganaisaha Jayanti Patakaschacha Sarvesham Gurunartino. So we are continuing with Sri Chaitanya-charitamrta. We have reached chapter 20, the Siksastakam, the Siksastakam prayers, which is the final chapter in Chaitanya-charitamrta. And these Siksastakam prayers, they've been given so much importance by our Guru Varga. Everything is contained within there, actually. The holy name, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, is our murti, is our deity in the age of Kali. This is the great gift of this age, Harinam. This is the gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these prayers, they are centered around the holy name, the glories of the name, what can be attained, by the grace of the name, how we can properly chant the name, what is the mood with which the name should be chanted, what is the mood that will develop in the heart, in different stages of the sincere chanter. So all of these things are discussed in these Siksastakam prayers. And they are very important also because they are practically the only, expressions which are recorded that have come directly from Sri Chaitanya Dev. Most of his instructions, they've come through his sincere followers. Especially Rup, Sanatana Goswamis, they were chosen by Mahaprabhu to represent his teachings in written form, with scriptural reference and so on. So only these Siksastakam prayers and one or two other verses, they have come directly from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they are very, very important for us. Okay, so we can begin. And, so much discussed by our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, by our Param Gurudev, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And there's this section in Loving Search for the the Golden Volcano, Divine Love, the second half. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is discussing these prayers very extensively and giving much illumination on them. And they're very, very helpful. And Srila Gurudev, he especially appreciated, that, Bhakti Siddhar Goswami, he, collected these explanations of Srila Sridhar Maharaj and published them in the form of this book, Golden Volcano. And Srila Gurudev, he made a comment even that if Goswami Maharaj had not published anything else of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's talks, only these Siksastakam explanations, and that would be sufficient. They are so complete and so important, so helpful for us. So we're very happy we can. And then we can also mention, these prayers, they're actually coming from the heart of Srimati Radharani. We can see them as the expressions of Radharani, coming, through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radharani. And in a mood of separation also. Okay, so we can begin. So verse 1. Premodbhavita Harshasyod vega doinyarti mishritam lapitam gor chandrasya bhagyavad bir nishevyate. Only the most fortunate will relish the mad words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were mixed with jubilation, envy, agitation, submissiveness, and grief, all produced by ecstatic loving emotions. Jai Jai Gaur Chandra, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaur Chandra. All glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He Mata Mahaprabhu Vaise Nila Chole, Rajani Divase Krishna Virahe Vivale. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus resided at Jagannath Puri, he was continuously overwhelmed night and day by separation from Krishna. Sarup Ramanande Duijana Sane Rachi Dine Rasa Gita Shlokas Vadane. Day and night he tasted transcendental blissful songs and verses with two associates, namely Srup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai. Nana Babute Prabhur Harsha Shokadosh Doinyodvega Arte Utkanta Santosh. He relished the symptoms of various transcendental emotions, such as jubilation, lamentation, anger, humility, anxiety, grief, eagerness, and satisfaction. Se bhave nija shlok podhiya Shloke arta svadoye dui banduloya. He would recite his own verses, expressing their meanings and emotions, and thus enjoy tasting them with these two friends. Kondine konbhave shlok patan, se shlok asvadite rachi jagaran. Sometimes the Lord would be absorbed in a particular emotion and would stay awake all night, reciting related verses and relishing their taste. Ashe Prabhu Kohin Shuno Sarup Ramadhai Nam Sankirtan Kalo Parama Upai. In great jubilation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Srup Damodar and Ramananda Rai, know from me that chanting the holy names is the supreme means of salvation in this age of Kali. Sankirtan yagya kalau Krishna radhan, seto sumeda pai Krishna charam." In this age of Kali, the process of worshipping Krishna is to perform sacrifice by chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who does so is certainly very intelligent, and he attains shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangascha Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumedasa. So this is a famous verse, and it's one of the principal verses that is, giving, evidence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a supreme avatar. So it's one of the principal verses that is cited, and it's in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the age, it's indicated because Mahaprabhu, he's described as the Chana avatar. He's the hidden avatar. He's not directly coming out as an avatar. He's coming in the mood of a devotee, and so his position is very much, misunderstood by many persons. Some see him as a saint, some see him as a social revolutionary, but it's not many who have that understanding of him as the Supreme Lord himself. So this is one of the evidential verses. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So he is Krishna, but he's coming with this golden effulgence of Radharani. So Krishna Varna. I don't know if we're going to go into the verse now, but it's very interesting because there's this double layer of meaning here. Because Krishna means Krishna, but Krishna also means black. So, and Varna, it can mean like luster or color, but it also can refer to like describing, speaking. So Krishna Varna can mean like with a black color, or it can mean talking about Krishna. And then so you could read it as saying he has this blackish complexion, but then the next phrase, Tvisha Krishnam. Tvisha means like luster also, and then Krishna means not black. So you could read it as saying he's black, but he's not black. So in other words, it's being told here in this hidden way that he is actually Krishna, but that black complexion has been covered. You're not seeing that. And why? Because it is covered by the golden effulgence of Srimati Radharani. Otherwise, why would it say his complexion is not black? There's no meaning. Why would you say that? Why not just say what his complexion is? Because the indication is that he is that, Shama Sundar, that beautiful dark Lord, but coming in a hidden way. Sangopangashta Parshadam, he's coming accompanied by his associates and his weapons. And weapons, Ashtra, but in the case of Mahaprabhu, he doesn't have weapons like other avatars in the conventional sense. But it's mentioned by the acharyas, his weapons are the holy name and also his beauty. He's conquering hearts, conquering, persons in this way. Yagnai Sankirtana prayer. What is this prayer? So, Yujantihi Sumedasa. Intelligent persons worship him through the sacrifice, the yajna of Sankirtan, congregational chanting. Yagnai means by, okay, so that's what it's saying. They worship him in this way, through Sankirtan. He's distributing Sankirtan, he likes Sankirtan, and he likes to be worshipped with Sankirtan also. Nama Sankirtan hoite sarvanarta nash, sarva shubhodoi Krishna preme ulas. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna, one can be freed from all undesirable habits, anartas. This is the means of awakening all good fortune and initiating the flow of waves of love for Krishna. And now we have the first verse of Siksastakam, a drum roll here, which everybody knows. You're familiar with the Siksastakam? A little bit? It rings a bell. Okay. So literally, Shiksha means instruction. Ashtak is referring to 8. So 8 instructions. And so there are 8 verses. And they're practically the only verses that came directly from Mahaprabhu himself. So there's a lot of emphasis on them. and they're all surrounding the chanting of the holy name. And they're very, very helpful for us. Okay, so here's the first verse. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam Shreya kairava chanjika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhi vardanam pratipadam purnamrita svadanam sarvatma snapanam padam vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. You've been through Golden Volcano? Oh, you have to put it on your list. Put it on your list. Because in the second half, there's the whole of the second half, actually, Srila Maharaj goes through each of the verses one by one, and really wonderful, wonderful explanations. In fact, maybe we can go through them as well as we're going through. We can do that. We must have a copy, right? But right there, it's not. Because it would be nice to go through. Yeah, it looks like, oh, perfect. Yeah, it would be nice to do that, I think. Properly. Thank you so much, Shini. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. So I'll read this translation first. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse. So this is the verses describing the different stages of development for the sincere practitioner, chanter, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. Okay, let's go through this. Okay. So this is part 2 of the Golden Volcano, Divine Love. Siksastakam, the precepts of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So beginning with the first verse, which we just chanted, and I'll read the translation. This translation is very nice. The holy name of Krishna cleanses the mirror of the heart and extinguishes the fire of misery in the forest of birth and death. As the evening lotus blooms in the moon's cooling rays, the heart begins to blossom in the nectar of the name. And at last the soul awakens to its real inner treasure, a life of love with Krishna. Again and again tasting nectar, the soul dives and surfaces in the ever-increasing ocean of ecstatic joy. All phases of the self of which we may conceive are fully satisfied and purified, and at last conquered by the all-auspicious influence of the holy name of Krishna. Okay, so now we can hear Srila Sridhar Maharaj's explanation, which is quite long, but it's worth going through. It's very, very beautiful and very helpful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the pioneer of Sri Krishna Sankirtan. He says, I have come to inaugurate the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, and that name will reach every nook and corner of the universe. What happened to that? Here it is. Priti Vityache Jatanagaradi Gram Sarvacha Prachar Hoibe Mornam. What is the meaning of Sankirtan? Samyak means full, and Kirtan means chanting. Together, these two words form the word Sankirtan, which generally means congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna. So in the sense, it can mean full in the sense of many persons. So we sometimes say Kirtan, can just be one person. Sankirtan is referring to a group of persons. However, well, that's what we're coming to. You're jumping ahead. However, samyak means full, not only in quantity, but also in quality. Full quantity means extensive in number, congregational. Full quality means complete praise. Complete praise can only mean the glorification of Krishna and not any other gods. And another point which Gurudev made about that is that it also means like the mood in which it is being chanted, the quality must be there. And so he said, like, Gurudev's words were something like, Sankirtan means, group of devotees chanting together with humility, tolerance, and respect. That's real quality, that's real Sankirtan. He said like that. And then Srila Maharaj is making this point, can only refer to Krishna, because Krishna is the most complete conception of the Absolute. And that also reminds us of Madhvacharya. He gave this really nice explanation, how actually all words, all praise, they want to run to Krishna, right? You've heard that, right? Goswami Maharaj often gives that, mentions that. And he gave the analogy of a horse, how if you let a horse go free, it will go where it wants to go, but we tie the horse down and we control it and bring it where we want, but a horse has its own desire, and if you let it go, it will run. So in the same way, we tie down words and praise and we give them local meaning, provincial meaning. But if you let them free, their natural desire and expression is to praise Krishna. Just there are many words in our modern parlance, they've taken on idiomatic meanings, right? But originally, like the word blue, right? The word, I don't know, maybe your generation doesn't say it so much, but the word blue can mean sad. Right? Do you still hear that in your generation? Not so much. You've heard of it, huh? Right. Yeah. So it has that connotation, or like someone was mentioning the other day. I mean, I haven't been able to adjust to this, but the word sick. The word sick has it means cool, right? But originally that's not the meaning of the word. So there's another meaning which has been imposed upon the word, So in the same way, actually, all expressions, they want to run to Krishna. They want to, be within the relativity of Krishna and glorify Krishna. But we apply, we impose, other meanings upon them.
What the example, maybe I'm wrong, but the example of the horse was that horse naturally goes back to its home. So in that
Okay, yeah. Sure.
It also works because the praise naturally wants to go to its home, which is Krishna.
Yeah, that's perfect, yeah. So Sankirtan means complete kirtan, a song in praise of the complete whole, the absolute truth. Anything else is only a partial representation, and therefore defective to a certain extent. Therefore, Krishna should be praised. His glories should be chanted. Like also it's mentioned how Mahaprabhu was this famous Sanskrit scholar, right? And he was becoming renowned far and wide. He had many students coming to him, and he's teaching Sanskrit grammar very expertly. And then after he, underwent this pastime of conversion to Krishna consciousness, then he couldn't talk about anything other than Krishna. And when he was explaining Sanskrit grammar, the meaning of everything was Krishna. So he couldn't continue anymore. And his students were very disappointed. It's wonderful you've become a devotee of Krishna, but can you just teach us Sanskrit grammar, please? But Mahaprabhu was seeing how everything was related to Krishna, and that was the answer to everything. His glory should be chanted, for he is everything. He is the master, the dispenser of both good and bad, the absolute controller of everything. Everything is due to him. The fulfillment of all life is reached in him alone. Just as a horse may have reins, that's what he was mentioning. Just as a horse may have reins to check his movements, but if let loose, will run freely. Srila Maharaj is getting right here. Praise which is unchecked by any mundane purpose will run straight towards the supreme cause, Krishna. The word Sri means Lakshmi Devi, Krishna's potency. This means that in Sankirtan, Krishna is worshipped along with his potency, for Krishna's potency is included within him. Because the line in the last line is Padam Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. So Sri, it can just be a very general word. It can mean indicating spiritual wealth, spiritual beauty, and but more specifically, it can be a name for Lakshmi Devi or Krishna's, divine potency, and ultimately, in the highest expression, Radharani. So, indicating here, Krishna is worshipped he's not worshipped alone. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Sri Krishna Sankirtan should thrive throughout the world. It should be victorious without any hindrance. It should be a spontaneous, unchecked, and natural flow. It should be exclusive, independent, and without reservation. And this praise of Krishna should be congregationally chanted. That vibration is beneficial for the whole world. Only by surrender and pure devotion can we take to Sri Krishna Sankirtan. What are the different stages through which we will pass while chanting the holy name of Krishna? The first stage is that it cleanses the mirror of the mind. If the mirror of the mental system is covered with dust, we cannot see things clearly, and scriptural advice cannot be properly reflected there. This is why, many times, things come in one ear and they go out the other, because our consciousness is, sometimes, I've experienced, no doubt many of us experience, we're singing the same song for so many years, or we were reading the same thing so many times, and then one day all of a sudden something strikes you, right? Oh wow, this is hitting me now, I wasn't getting this before, We can hear the same thing again and again and again, and we won't necessarily be able to really absorb that, because our consciousness is dusty. So, this is one of the reasons why we repeatedly, chant and read and hear certain things. We are full. We're collecting so many things from this world, and that is like filling us up, and so we can't absorb anything else. But once that becomes more cleared, then we can hold more, we can receive, we can absorb more. What are the different kinds of dust covering the mirror of the mind? Our infinite, fleeting, and organized desires are considered dust. And our hearts and minds are covered with layers and layers of this dust. Therefore, we cannot see things properly. They cannot properly reflect in our mind because it is covered with the infinite ordinary desires of this mundane world. So the first effect of Sri Krishna Sankirtan is the cleansing of the mind. The Vedic social system, Varnashram Dharma, has been formed for this purpose. If we discharge our social duties perfectly, without any attraction for the consequences, we achieve purification of our consciousness. But the first installment of Nam Sankirtan gives us the end result of Varnashram Dharma, purification of the heart and mind. Then we can understand the Vedic advice properly. So this is quite a strong statement that Srila Maharaj is making here. It's something to think about. The whole system of Varnashram Dharma, the social religious system of India, where everyone is encouraged to, the idea of the Varnashram system is that we are, according to our nature, we have a particular duty within society, particular role and duty, whether it's and that's like in more of a social sense, the administrators, the leaders, the warriors, the laborers, the Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, the scholars, so you, according to your nature, you adopt a particular duty, and then also different statuses in life, brahmacharya, grihasta, sannyas, vanaprastha, different orders of religious ways of practicing religious life. And the idea is that you carry this out in a mood of selflessness, making a positive, living in this consciousness of making a positive contribution to the center and to the whole by selflessly carrying out one's duty, And so in that sense, like our material nature is being accommodated, like someone has a nature of wanting to study, someone has a nature of wanting to fight, someone wants to be celibate, someone wants to have a family, like all of these different kind of material desires that we have, they can be accommodated in an organized, in a healthy, and in a holistic way. So there's not like this repression of our desires, but our desires are being expressed and accommodated in this healthy and organized way. And then there's also, connection with some level of spiritual practice. It's all a little vague. It's not so clear. It's not, there's not the, it's a little unconscious, a little in the background, but, there's rituals and ceremonies and prayers and all of this. But the idea of it all, what the principle behind it all is karma yoga. That this idea of selflessly performing one's duty. And what's the outcome of karma yoga? Purification of the mind. The mind will clear. So this whole varnashrams, this whole like elaborate varnashram system of India, the end result of it all is purification of the consciousness. Coming now to Harinam, this is the first effect of the holy name. This is like very base level. This is just the beginning. So it's an interesting point. The next effect of chanting the holy name is that it extinguishes the fire of material existence in the forest of repeated birth and death. We are forced to come into creation and again die. The mundane wave catches the soul, which mingles with that vibration in different stages. That is stopped by the second effect of Sri Krishna Sankirtan, and we become liberated. So the analogy, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Bhava is referring to material existence. Mahadavagni means a raging forest fire. So sometimes the material existence is compared to this, a raging forest fire, this like wheel of samsara, which is taking us round and round and round. So nirvapana means it will be extinguished. This is the second effect. With the first stride, the intelligence is purified. With the second stride, the holy name effects liberation from the great conflagration of threefold miseries. The threefold miseries are adhyatmic, miseries within the body and mind, such as disease, mental anxiety; adhibhotic, miseries from our neighbors, man, beasts, insects, and so many other living beings. So miseries that come from within ourselves, miseries that come from others around us, people, animals, insects. And the third is adhidaivik, natural catastrophe. Literally, the daivik is referring to the devas, so coming from the gods, who control, like the weather and all these things. Natural catastrophes like famine, flood, and earthquake. We have to suffer from these three kinds of miseries which burn in our heart like fire. But everything is extinguished forever by the second stride of Nam Sankirtan, which gives us relief. The next stage, this is the third stage, is Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. The holy name bestows upon us the supreme goal of life. After doing away with these two negative engagements, our positive engagement begins and ultimately takes us to reality, to the real truth, which is eternal, auspicious, and beautiful. It takes us to that auspiciousness which is above this world of difficulty. And in a general way, we achieve the supreme goal, the highest auspiciousness, the greatest good from chanting the holy name of Krishna. If we analyze this scrutinizingly, we find that in this stage, the holy name takes us to an intimate, personal relationship with Krishna, which includes neutrality, servitude, friendship, and filial affection. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, and Vatsalya. Shreya covers the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, for it is by his grace that we may be allowed to worship Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. Nitayer karuna habe, braje Radha Krishna pabe. The next stage is Vidyavadu Jivanam. The holy name prepares us for the wholesale surrender to Krishna that is found in conjugal love, Madhura Ras, where the devotees surrender themselves infinitely at the disposal of Krishna. The next stage is Anandam Buddhivardhanam. When we come to the proper level while chanting the name of Krishna, we find the transcendental ocean that is above all sorts of experience. So literally, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, it means an ever, like Vardhana means increasing. Anandam Buddhi means an ocean of ananda, of joy, of happiness. So an ever increasing ocean of joy. The name comes to assert himself over us according to the degree of our surrender. And when our surrender is complete, we feel a new type of ecstatic joy. It's so encouraging. Like just that phrase, the name comes to assert himself over us. Like when I hear that, it's like, oh, thank you. Like I'm waiting for that. Like I don't have to keep struggling anymore. That stage will come where the name will just descend within us and take over. And we don't have to struggle anymore. That's something I have to remind myself all the time. We're not going to get it on our own strength, And it's such a comfort and a relief when we can remember that. It's okay that you're not doing so well. It's okay, But it's all a descending process. It's all about grace and mercy, and we have to more and more increase our sense of dependence upon that. The name comes to assert himself over us according to the degree of our surrender. And when our surrender is complete, we feel a new type of ecstatic joy. We experience an infinite ocean of joy, which is not static, but always dynamic. There we find new life and a new type of blissfulness. It never becomes stale or static, but at every moment gives us a taste of the infinite ocean of ecstasy. The last effect is that our entire existence is purified, sarvatma snapanam. This kind of enjoyment does not pollute, it purifies. Enjoyment means exploitation. Mundane enjoyment creates a reaction, and pollution attacks the enjoyer. But here, because Krishna is the aggressor, the result is purification. All enjoyment that comes from the center, from the autocratic desire of Krishna, purifies us completely. In this verse, the words sarvatma snapanam mean that all different phases of the self which may be conceived are fully satisfied and purified at once by chanting the holy name of Krishna. And there is another meaning of sarvatma snapanam. If we praise Krishna congregationally, we will be purified according to our capacity. Both the singer and the audience, as well as anyone who comes in connection with the transcendental sound, will be purified. Snapana means purifying. That vibration purifies everyone and everything that comes in touch with it. So Mahaprabhu says, go on with Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Of course, Sankirtan must be genuine, so association with saints is necessary. It is not an empirical attempt. We are attempting to have a connection with the higher, unconditioned realm which can descend to help us here. We must have that connection with higher reality, for that is all important. The holy name of Krishna is not mere physical sound. It is not lip deep only, but it has a greater and higher aspect. It is all spiritual. We are in the marginal plane of existence, so some higher connection is necessary in order that the wave will descend from that higher realm and come to us and spread its influence outside as well. Wherever it goes, the Sankirtan of the holy name of Krishna will produce these sevenfold results. This is the purport of Mahaprabhu's first verse. The first effect is that the holy name cleanses the soul, which is attacked by the dirt of desires from the mundane world. By the second effect, it gives mukti, liberation, perfect independence from material forces. The third effect brings real fortune, the opening of the soul's treasure. The innate resources of the soul are gradually awakened by the holy name of Krishna. Here, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu includes the other forms of relationship with the personal absolute. In describing the next step, he takes the mood of conjugal devotion, where one is absolutely disposed for Krishna's enjoyment, unconditionally surrendering everything for his maximum pleasure. I think I'm going to stop there for today. We can absorb that. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj gives more explanation. Yeah, it's quite extensive. Any thoughts, additions, comments, questions, anything? Should we close there?
I love this verse. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, Gurudev, he discusses it in a little in the Real Truth. There's a place where Gurudev talks about these verses, and also in Affectionate Guidance, and he says something like everything's like just in this first verse, it's so complete, you know. Everything for our practicing life is there. The conception is there. And okay. Do you feel like singing? No. Okay, we will humbly request Brajamahini to you instead. We are not privileged today. I'm just teasing you. Whenever you're ready, then sing. Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Jadavaya Namah. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohana. Chaitanya Sri Advaita Chanda. Radhara Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Vasa Raghunatha. Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha.
Shishma Bhakti Samir Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Prabhu Jakacharya Vyasara Sata Shri Shrimad Bhakti Rakak Shri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Vishwena Shalisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadipam Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati and Worldwide Mission Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya-charitamrta Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Prabhu Ki Jai. All world devotees Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Seva Sanctuary Ki Jai. Shri Vishakaditi Ki Jai. Thai Gorpramanandi Sankirtan Ki